Today we're decorating book covers with the theme Celebrate the Beauty in Differences, which is also the theme of Black and Brown Theater's Once Upon a Rhyme, Beast of the Town. For the first book, we're going to cover it with brown craft paper, and to complete this project you will absolutely need a book to cover, scissors, a pencil, and tape of some kind. It doesn't have to be this blue tape, glue, and probably a ruler. Things that might help include some sandpaper, which I will explain later, and you might want to decorate it with markers, crayons, colored pencils, and if you have something fun to decorate with, like stickers, you can use those too. Okay. You will also need brown paper. For the grown-ups, if you are helping your young artists, you may need to do this for them. You're going to measure out the amount of paper that you need and then cut it, then your artist can draw. So we're just going to set the book near the edge of the paper. We want to leave some extra so that we can fold it into the inside corner. So to measure, I'm going to lay it this way and then turn it on its spine, make sure I account for that, and then lay it on the front. And now I'm going to cut the paper just around here to leave some extra so that I can glue it to the book and fold it inside. And now I am going to tape my paper into my book. Then you'll fold up the bottom, but you'll notice we have a lot going on here in this corner. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of that the easy way. But for now, we're just going to make a crease on those edges. Now we're going to pull our tape up, and we'll be able to see the fold lines from where our book is going to be. So we see that our book is going to fit right in these lines. So now we can open up our book and we see that there's a little extra space, but that is accounting for this spine. So we're going to use our pencil to make a couple marks, and I'm going to mark where the pages are in the center. So just making some marks so I know where the page is, and then across the spine. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. And then I'm going to make some marks at the corner of the book. Now I'm going to use my ruler to draw a diagonal line across the corner so that I can cut off a triangle, and that's going to help me be able to fold my paper in so that I don't get all of that bulk at the corners. And I'm going to draw a line from the point of the spine to the edge so that I can fold this and this paper doesn't get caught up in the pages of the book. Now I'll use my scissors to cut out where I just drew lines with my rulers. So now I should be able to open the front cover and fold the bottom up. Fold the side in there, and that corner comes together really nicely because I cut all that extra out. And then I should be able to fold this down too. So once you've tested that out and you have that done, we're going to open this up. Take it off for the last time. And this is the perfect time for your young artist to draw their picture in this blank space. You'll want to make sure that they draw on the side that doesn't have the print on it, because we want this to go on the inside against the book, and then their new image will go on the outside as the new cover. One thing that helps the paper stick to the book is if this surface isn't so shiny. So we're going to rough it up with a little bit of sandpaper. Now that we have our book roughed up from the sandpaper, we're going to pull our paper, our cover back into place. Make sure we have the illustration side down, or the blank side down. And we are going to add glue to the paper. So I'm going to align my spine with the edges, this inside corner here, because I know that's where the spine of my book goes, and press down on the back of the book. Then I'm going to open this up and fold my paper inward. You want to smooth it out with your hands, smooth it to the inside, and then do the same thing with the top and the bottom. For the front, I'm going to pull this up and make sure it's really tight. And then I'm going to flip this book over this way. Press down. Then open up the cover and do the same thing with the flaps. And now, your book is covered with brown paper. For our second book, we're going to cover this one with magazine pages. In addition to your magazine clippings, you'll need your glue, some tape. I'm using clear tape this time. And you'll also need your scissors and some sandpaper to rough up the book like we did the first time. So once you have everything in place, we're going to grab our background papers and tape them together so that they're big enough to cover the entire book. From here, we're going to repeat the steps that we did from the first book, where we measure our book on the paper and we make our marks and cut it down so that it will fit the book and fold into place. I've folded the paper around the book so that I know exactly where to place the stuff that I want to be able to see on the cover of the book. So now I'm going to take my magazine clippings and just paste them right inside of this box that I have. Right now I've turned my collage over and I'm trimming down the papers that have kind of come over the edges of where I've cut, because we want this paper to be easy to fold into our book cover like in the first one. So I'm just trimming the excess paper. You'll want to check to make sure your book cover is the right way so that the cover goes on the cover and the back is on the back the way that you want it. So check that. I'm going to flip this over and add glue all around. And you can start with the front cover or the back. Whichever one you start with, you want to line up the spine with what you cut here, because that is where your spine is supposed to go. Trust your measurements. So now we have our magazine collage cover book. For our third book, we're going to spray paint the cover. Make sure you are in a well-ventilated area, most likely outside, before you do this. And before we go outside to spray paint, we're going to protect our pages from getting painted together. In order to do that, we're going to use some brown paper from the first tutorial and the blue tape. We're just going to wrap the inside of the pages, kind of like a gift. And then we're going to rough up the cover with our sandpaper, like we've done for the last two, and get started painting. If you have a book that's a glossy cover like this, you'll need to rough it up so that the paint can adhere to the book. If you have a hardcover book that has some texture to it, you may be able to skip the sandpapering part, but I highly suggest using the sandpaper to rough up your cover because you do need to have texture in order for the paint to stick. Otherwise, it will just chip off. So let's wrap our pages. We don't need a perfectly sized sheet of paper to cover the pages because we're going to take it off at the end, but we do want to make sure that our pages are completely covered because if any paint gets on them, they'll be stuck together. So I'm going to take this piece of brown paper, open up the back of my book, and tape this edge right inside of the back spine. And I want to make sure that I have paper off of the top and off of the bottom so that I can wrap it around the top and the bottoms of the pages. Now I'll close this and flip it over. You'll open the front of the book and wrap your paper, and you'll see that it covers the entire book. We're going to close the cover so that we can crease this paper and then cut it so that it covers all the pages in there. Okay, so we're creasing the brown paper, opening the book, trimming the paper along this fold that we have. Now I'm going to pull this in here, kind of like you're wrapping a gift. Just put some tape on the edge. Okay. So the sides of my pages are covered. In order to cover the top and the bottom, I am going to push this part inward and then push the top down and pull the back forward and tape it into place, kind of like you would wrap a box as a gift. See, so we have that little corner there and my pages are covered. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So this edge of the paper I'm going to push inward so that it folds up against the edge of the pages. Now fold that back so you can see. It's folded up against the edge of the papers. Now I'm going to fold this top piece down so that it's folded up against the edge of the papers and bring the back piece over to the front so that everything is covered. Just tape that in place. And now that our pages are protected, we're going to rough up the outside of the book. With the covers of our book completely roughed up by the sandpaper, we're ready to paint our book. Once you have your book all ready and prepped, the pages are covered and the cover is stuffed up, you want to go outside and use a cardboard box to protect your work area. Open your book, lay it flat inside, and make sure you have gloves and protective eyewear and something to cover your clothes, because the spray does get everywhere. It's probably, you want to shake this up and then just spray. You want to leave your book outside to dry for an hour or so, and then once it's dry, you'll come back and do a second coat, and if it's not fully covered after the second coat, you can even do a third. Thank you for joining us in crafting with me today. I hope you had a great time. Remember, don't judge a book by its cover. Let's continue to celebrate the beauty and differences. And if you finish this project and you have any pictures, post them on social media and make sure you tag B&B Theater. Also remember to check out Black and Brown Theater's Once Upon a Rhyme, Beast of the Town. Thank you.